So this is a rapid revision course of pharmacology. We will try to cover it in minimum time possible. So the first topic we will learn about the diuretics, then CNS drugs, then antimicrobials, then ANS drugs, then endocrine, then autocoids, hematology, respiratory system, GIT drugs. Then we will learn about the general pharmacology, then CVS, immunomodulator, antineoplastic drugs. Okay, so we will first learn about the diuretics. So in the diuretics, first drug is carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. Okay, so to learn the mechanism of action of carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, this is glomerulus, this is PCT, this is ascending loop of Henle, this is DCT. Okay, so this is the epithelial cell of PCT, this is sodium hydrogen pump go inside, and this hydrogen react with SCO3 ion and form H2CO3 by the enzyme carbonic anhydrase. This H2CO3 goes into the epithelial cell and convert into the H ion plus SCO3. Okay, by the help of enzyme carbonic anhydrase. So this is the normal physiology of PCT. Now, if we will give the carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, then this process will hamper. So it leads to more excretion of SCO3, which causes more alkaline urine, and more alkaline urine will leads to formation of calcium phosphate stones. Okay, and more alkaline urine, and it causes increase in H ion in blood because H2CO3 is not formed, so H ion will increase in epithelial cell of PCT, so it causes mild acidosis. Okay, so mild acidosis leads to hyperventilation, so it can be used in treatment of sleep apnea because it is causing mild acidosis. It is causes alkalosis, alkaline urine. Mild acidosis leads to help in increases the respiratory ventilation, so it helps in acute sleep apnea. Next is it decreases ocular pressure because aqueous humor formation in eye is due to carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So carbonic anhydrase inhibitor leads to decrease in ocular pressure. Okay, so you can see this is the concept. Okay, so basically you have to learn about that carbonic anhydrase inhibitor by mnemonic, that carbonic anhydrase inhibitor makes chopper. So you have to learn that, you have understand the concept. Now in the exam you won't have time to recall the concept, you need mnemonic because you have to mug up all the 19 subjects. Understood? And you have 1 minute for one minute, less than 1 minute for one question. Understood? So that's why in the exam hall you can't recall all the concepts. Understood? So you need mnemonic to remember everything. So the mnemonic for carbonic anhydrase inhibitor is carbonic anhydrase inhibitor makes chopper. What is the full form of it? M is for metabolic acidosis. It causes metabolic acidosis. I have explained you. It increases the H ion in blood because it does not form H2CO3 because we have inhibited the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So H ion level increases in the blood. It helps in alkalosis treatment, obviously, because if patient is having alkalosis, so this is causing mild acidosis, so it helps in recovering the alkalosis. Third is K ion excretion, and the fourth is excretion of SCO3. So I have explained to you why it is excretion of SCO3. Next is sleep apnea. I have explained to you about sleep apnea, calcium stone, and it also causes hyperammonia. How it will it cause hyperammonia? Because normally NH3 diffuses from the epithelial cell to lumen, and it react with H ion and it form NH4 ion, that is ammonium ion. So it got trapped in the lumen and it excreted, ammonia is excreted in this way. Now H ion decreases in the lumen. So because H ion decreases in the lumen, so NH3 will not convert into NH4. So NH3 diffuses back into the epithelial cell. So it leads to hyperammonia in blood. Okay, so this is the reason carbonic anhydrase enzyme inhibitor causes hyperammonia. Okay, so mostly all the diuretics, whether it loop diuretics or whether it thiazide diuretics, they also invade the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. But there are two drugs. First is bumetanide and second drug is indapamide. Both these drugs does not have even 1 or 2% carbonic anhydrase action. Okay. So these drugs doesn't have carbonic anhydrase action. And the example of these carbonic anhydrase inhibitor is acetazolamide, dorzolamide, virenzolamide. They also use in acute mountain sickness. Okay. So next group of drug is loop diuretics. Let's understand what is the mechanism of action of loop diuretics. Okay. So loop diuretics. So this is the glomerulus, this is PCT, this is ascending loop of Henle, this is DCT, this is collecting duct. So this is the cell, epithelial cell in ascending loop of Henle. This is sodium, potassium, chloride transporter. So during normal physiology, it leads to absorption of sodium, potassium and chloride. 2 chloride. So 2 positive ion is coming in, 2 chloride negative ion is coming in. Potassium goes again in the lumen by hair channel and chloride absorb from here into the blood. Okay. So it form the positive gradient because potassium is going again in the lumen and chloride is going in the blood vessels. So it create a positive gradient. Because of the positive gradient, it leads to absorption of calcium from the ascending loop of Henle. This is the normal mechanism. So if we are giving the loop diuretics, it invade the sodium, potassium and chloride channel. Because it invade the sodium, potassium and chloride channel, it does not lead to absorption of sodium, potassium and chloride in the epithelial cell. So it will not form the positive gradient. So if it will not form the positive gradient, it does not absorb the calcium. So if it does not absorb the calcium, calcium will goes in the urine. So that's why loop loses calcium. Loop diuretics loses calcium, and it also lose, and Na goes in the lumen. So water goes along with it, and sodium because sodium is goes into the lumen, and so it also invades the potassium absorption. So potassium is also excreted. So these are potassium losing diuretics. Okay. And because this is, we are losing sodium and potassium and calcium. So it cause compensatory absorption of uric acid. Compensatory glucose absorption. Okay. So summary of the loop diuretics. Loop diuretics loses calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium. Okay. So loop diuretics loses potassium, calcium, magnesium, and what increases in body? GRU. What is GRU? Glucose and uric acid. The drug which is we used in loop diuretic is torsemide. So basically they don't ask, mostly in MCQs they don't ask the mechanism. I am explaining you mechanism concept because you have to learn, you have to understand the concept. They will mostly ask that like torsemide drug, so it is long acting or short acting, it is fast acting or most potent. Okay, so torsemide sound like horse. What is the horse doing? Horse runs fast, so it is long acting. So see, there are so many drugs in pharmacology, and mostly they will ask you the side effects of particular drug and whether it is more potent, whether it is fast acting or not. So you have to make a story around that name of any drug so that you can remember easily, because you are not going, because you have to not just read one subject, you have to read 19 subjects. So you have to make somehow any mnemonic or story around that word, that drug, so that you can easily remember things. Understood? So the torsemide sound like horse, and it because horse runs fast, so it is longest acting drug. Okay, next drug is ethacrynic acid. What is ethacrynic acid? Name in itself written the etha. Etha is attacks ear, so it is most ototoxic. And the loop loses calcium, and it is most effective drug in low GFR. If patient is having CKD, so if patient is having chronic kidney failure, so loop diuretics is most effective in low GFR. Okay, it is also causing maximum Bartter excretion, so used in pulmonary edema. Now next group of drug is thiazide. So thiazide diuretics attacks on DCT. So this is the sodium chloride channel. So normally what happens? This channel leads to absorption of sodium and calcium, sodium and chloride. This is the calcium channel by TRP5. So it increases the sodium in the epithelial cell of DCT, and here is sodium ATPase pump, here is sodium calcium exchanger. So normally sodium and chloride absorbed in the epithelial cell from the DCT. Okay. So now what happens if we give a thiazide diuretics? So thiazide diuretics invade the sodium chloride channel. So it invades the sodium chloride channel. So sodium absorption will decrease. So because sodium absorption will decrease, it causes it activates the sodium calcium exchanger, which causes absorption of sodium from blood to the epithelial cell of DCT. And because sodium is absorbed, sodium is going inside, so calcium goes into the blood. So because calcium is moving into the blood, calcium level is decreased in this epithelial cell. So it causes absorption of calcium from the lumen. Okay, that's why thiazide diuretics causes absorption of calcium. So thiazide diuretics causing hypercalcemia. Understood? There is a one striking difference between loop and thiazide diuretics, that thiazide diuretics causing hypercalcemia. Other all difference are same. Like GRU increases, GRU, what is GRU? Glucose and uric acid increases, PM decreases, potassium and magnesium decreases. Okay, so the thiazide diuretics causing hypercalcemia and loop diuretics loses calcium. Okay, now the different drugs like chlorothiazide is shortest acting and chlorthalidone is longest acting. So how will you remember that chlorthalidone is longest acting? So it in name of chlorthalidone it is itself written as DON, and DON है तो क्या होगा? Longest acting होगा. DON लोग क्या होते हैं? Powerful होते हैं. Now next group of drug is indapamide. What is indapamide? It is more like in the liver. So it is hepatic excretion. Okay. Next drug is metalazone. So what is metalazone? So it is excreted by renal. It is excreted by kidney. So how will you remember that it is excreted by kidney? Because in its name written as metal. So metal is mostly excreted by kidney. So you can remember by this way that metalazone is excreted by kidney. Now next group of drug is potassium sparing diuretics. So all these drugs are excreting potassium. Now we have one more group of drug which is conserving potassium. So this is potassium sparing diuretics. So how these group of drug is functioning? So in this they mostly act on collecting duct. So this is the glomerulus, this is PCT, ascending loop of Henle, DCT, collecting duct. So in collecting duct, this is the epithelial cell. So aldosterone, what does aldosterone do? Aldosterone, we will first learn about the normal physiology. So what does aldosterone do? Aldosterone act on the hair and increases the INAC channel. It stimulate the mRNA for INAC channel and increases the INAC channel. So what does INAC channel do? INAC channel increase the sodium absorption and indirectly leads to potassium excretion. This is the normal physiology. So because sodium is absorbed, so water is absorbed. Okay. Now we are giving aldosterone antagonist. So if we are giving aldosterone antagonist, so it does not lead to formation of mRNA. Okay. So it does not lead to formation of INAC. So sodium absorption will decrease. So if sodium absorption will decrease, so it leads to because sodium absorption is decreased, so it does not lead to potassium excretion. So potassium is spared. So that's why they are potassium sparing diuretics. Okay. So one of group of drug is aldosterone antagonist. They also attack the androgen receptor. That's why they have side effect of impotence, menstrual irregularity. These are the side effects of aldosterone antagonist. Now next group of drug is INAC inhibitor. So we are inhibiting the aldosterones. We are we are indirectly inhibiting the NAC. Now we have new group of drugs. Those group of drugs directly inhibit the NAC. So NAC inhibitors are amloride. So amloride is drug of choice for Liddle syndrome. What is Liddle syndrome? In Liddle syndrome, there is activation of NAC. So we have best drug NAC inhibitor. Okay. So because it is inhibiting NAC, so these are also potassium sparing. And one more thing, if potassium and hydrogen goes in same direction. So if we are increasing the potassium in body, so we are also increasing the hydrogen ion in body. So it also causes the metabolic acidosis. Now next topic is osmotic diuretics. So what does osmotic diuretics do? So basically these are the diuretics which does not alter the solute level. Like we have seen the thiazide loop diuretics, they are altering the sodium and potassium and calcium level in blood and as well as in urine. But osmotic diuretics, what they does, they only take water inside it. So first, so we will give the osmotic diuretic by intravenous. It causes cells, it extract water from cells. So because it extract water from cells, so it causes hyponatremia, because in ECF too much water but less sodium, because it extract water from cells, so it causes hyponatremia as well as hypokalemia. Now this osmotic diuretics goes into the lumen of glomerulus and lumen of PCT, DCT. So what does it happen? What happened? So it again absorb water from the PCT. So it again absorb water. So water level increase in the lumen. So it causes maximum diuresis, and it is only taking the water. So it causes hypernatremia and hyperkalemia. So osmotic diuretics causes hypokalemia, hyponatremia as well as hypernatremia, hyperkalemia. Okay. Now the next group of drug is antidiuretics. So we have one hormone, that is ADH, antidiuretic hormone. It causes absorption of water from collecting duct. So it is antidiuretic hormone. Okay. So there is a disease called diabetes insipidus. So in diabetes insipidus, there is insufficient ADH. So due to insufficient ADH, it leads to so much excretion of water. So for central diabetes insipidus, we give desmopressin, which is exactly like the vasopressin. It's the same drug like vasopressin. Okay. Now next is terlipressin. What is terlipressin? So terlipressin is used in acute variceal bleeding. How can we remember that? So alcoholic patient prone to develop variceal bleeding because वो टल्ली होते हैं most of the time. ठीक है, तो because they टल्ली होते हैं तो ड्रग भी क्या है, टल्ली है, terlipressin. So you can remember that terlipressin helps in acute variceal bleeding. It is drug of choice. Now next group of drug is vasopressin antagonist. अभी क्या था, vasopressin कम था, so we are giving by desmopressin analog. Now we have one more disease, that is SIADH, syndrome of inappropriate ADH release. Now अब ADH बहुत ज़्यादा है तो अपन क्या देंगे, vasopressin antagonist. Okay, vasopressin antagonist is conivaptan, used for emergency treatment of SIADH. Now positive water clearance and negative water clearance. So if more water is present in the urine, if patient is having dilute urine, then it is positive water clearance. And if patient is having concentrated urine, then it is negative water clearance. This is the basic concept of positive and negative water clearance.